IBS School Debate is made possible with partnership with NBC and Kundu 2. And so we present the NCD School Debate Competition. So in Pool A, we had Red Sky and Sogeri, Kila Kila and Don Bosco, but they were not able to make it. So Kila Kila is advanced to semifinals, and PNG Private High School was against Cop College in our morning session. So in the afternoon session, we'll have Marinville and Pommies, and Bariago versus St. Joseph's. Once again, I'd like to acknowledge our sponsors. They are Daltron, Supreme Industries, BSP, Ella Motors, Datanets, Remington, and of course, NCDC. We'd also like to thank Next of Kin Productions for our sound system. And last but not the least, all the participating schools that are here now and that will be coming on Tuesday and Friday. Okay, so now I'd like to call upon the Port Moresby International School and Marinville Girls Secondary School to take the stage. Their topic would be, or the topic is, LNG projects is the driver for PNG Vision 2050. Our POMIS participants are Janelle Numapo, Angela Liu, Timothy Snowbet, and Jacob Ilave. Please make welcome the POMI students. The Marinville Secondary School participants are Imelda Arabagali, Imelda Kachau, Maria Bolokon, and Theresa Cowie. Please make welcome the Marinville girls. Their topic again, Marinville is going for, LNG project is the driver for PNG Vision 2050, and the Port Moresby International School is going against. I'd like to call upon now our first speaker of the government side.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good afternoon, adjudicators, the timekeepers, the opposing team, and the audience. I, as the first speaker of the affirmative team, will be defining the topic and outlining the social aspects of the topic. My second speaker, Imelda, will be outlining the environmental aspects of the topic. The third speaker, Maria, will be outlining the economical aspects of the topic. And my last speaker, Teresa, will summarize. LNG stands for liquefied natural gas, which is an extremely cold, non-toxic, and a non-corrosive substance. The LNG project, located in the Southern Highlands province, is one of the biggest projects ever in Papua New Guinea and is also the first of its kind. The project will start operations in 2014, and it will last for up to about 30 years. As used in the topic, driver is the force or the provided power that will cause a planned effort to be achieved. The PNG Vision 2050, which was developed using the framework that was set in our national goals and directive principles, was launched in August last year. The vision has been derived from wide consultations with our people from the 89 districts. Therefore, it is the people's vision. The Vision 2050 is a framework for a long-term strategy that should map out the future direction of our country and reflect the aspirations of the people of Papua New Guinea. The vision is underpinned by 7 strategic focus areas, which are referred to as pillars. It sets the overall direction for our country to attain its vision to be a smart, wise, fair, healthy, and happy society, and to be among the top 50 countries in the United Nations Human Development Index. Therefore, the team's definition of the topic is that LNG is the force or the provided power that will enable us to achieve Vision 2050. To my point, how will LNG help us achieve Vision 2050 socially? Well, the social benefits from the project to the Papua New Guinea government and the people are expected to be significant. It is expected that from the high taxes from the project, the state will be able to rebuild and build schools, learning institutions, and deliver benefits to the people of Papua New Guinea, especially in the rural areas. The immediate benefits will include better equipped hospitals, health centers, and adequate training of teachers, health workers, and professionals, and job creation for thousands of locals. What will be the result from all these improvements? Basic services such as healthcare and education will be improved. When this happens, the illiteracy rate in the country will decrease. People won't be dying from preventable diseases such as HIV, AIDS, and cholera, and also curable diseases such as tuberculosis. Through job creation, the unemployment rate in the country will decrease. But some of you might be thinking, why is the government bringing expatriates from overseas or the 500 people from Fiji? Well, this project, as I've already said, is the first of its kind, and we have never experienced. It's a multi-billion kina project. So we need experts, people with experience, people who are skillful to build a strong foundation from this project. And as the project expands, there will be more job creation. And when that happens, the crime rate in the country will decrease because most of the law and order problems are caused by unemployment. Wages will be increased and therefore will improve the living standards of the people. But most importantly, the people's mindset and attitude and their behavior will change. We have to change our mindset, our attitude. We have to have noble values. We must try to become powerful forces and change agents for the development and nation building. No one will do it for us. It is us. As we all say that it is a democratic country and all of us have a say in what is going on. So we also have a part to play in the development of this country. To conclude, my teammates and I strongly believe that LNG is the force or the provided power that will enable us to achieve Vision 2050. But it is entirely up to us as citizens of this country to have positive attitudes, positive mindset, and positive behaviors, and to be committed and dedicated into pursuing this vision and to make it become a reality through the financial help from the LNG project. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, first speaker of the government side. I'd like to call upon now the first speaker of the opposition.
Good afternoon, adjudicators, chairperson, timekeepers, audience, and fellow debaters. Our argument today is that LNG is not the driver for Vision 2050. To strengthen our stand, we, the Promise team, will address the topic at hand. As the first speaker of the opposing team, I will address the environmental aspect of this topic. The second speaker, Angela, will highlight the social aspect. The third speaker, Timotei, will address the economical aspect, and the last and final speaker, Jacob, will conclude our team's case. Firstly, before I go on to my point, I would like to rebut on what the first speaker of the government team has said. You said that Vision 2050 reflects the people's vision. Vision 2050 does not reflect the people's vision, but the vision of the government personnel who created it. You also said that LNG is the driver for Vision 2050. It is not the driver because when the National Strategic Plan for PNG was made in the year 2008, LNG was not taken into account. Now on to my argument. As we all are aware, in the mining industry, there will be great impacts on the environment that will directly or indirectly affect the areas where the project is being carried out. Let me point out a number of factors that will lead to such effects. Firstly, a change to the physical environment is inevitable. The natural environment will be replaced by a plant, a mass of steel structures and pipes, which will scar the environment immensely. Secondly, during operations, and especially the construction phase of the LNG project, deforestation will lead to the endangerment of wildlife species. Since a vast amount of trees will be felled, floral species will be lost, and fauna species will be forced to vacate the natural habitat, which may result in the extinction of some species. For example, according to the PNG LNG project's environmental impact statement, which was released in January 2009, many animal species, such as the tube-nosed bat and the tropical rock lobster, will be affected and potentially become endangered. The same source also states that 0.1241% of vegetation will be lost from bioregions. That is, in figures, an excess of 2,811 hectares of habitat losses from the 12 bioregions where the LNG project is to be carried out. Thirdly, let us factor in pollution to this argument. In industrial areas all over the world, especially in the mining sectors, pollution is the major contributing factor to the negative impacts of the environment being the flora, fauna, and human population. Let me give you a classic example. Given the current crisis of gas leak in the Gulf of Mexico, a press report released on the 18th of May 2010 stated that there is 3,000 times more natural gas coming out of the lake than oil. The damaging effects include oxygen levels in some areas to drop by 30% and should continue to drop. Experts say, and I quote, "It could take years, possibly decades, for the system to recover from an infusion of this quantity of oil and gas," unquote. What if a similar situation was to happen to gas pipeline that will be going offshore? Therefore, how can LNG be the driver of the Vision 2050 when the vision states that we are to become a smart, wise, fair, healthy, and happy society in 2050? LNG is not the source that will help the government and the people implement Vision 2050. Because when the National Strategic Plan for 2010 to 2050 was made in 2008, the LNG project was not at all mentioned. When the Vision 2050 was devised, the government did not have the LNG project in mind while doing so. Rather, other mining industries and resource areas such as Pogera Gold Mine, Lihir Gold Limited, and Kutubu oil fields, not the LNG project. According to the current government, LNG is seen as the vehicle of implementation to the PNG Vision 2050. But this is not the case because changes of government in the coming elections may also lead to changes in policies. Keeping in mind, there will be 8 elections between the years 2010 to 2050, and the new government may or may not carry on with the policies as planned. So ultimately, based on the government's policies, will the present and future governments of the day keep to its Memorandum of Agreement, or MOAs, of the PNG LNG project? So, to conclude my argument, despite the fact that the LNG project will contribute to the government coffers by increasing the revenue base of the government, it is not on its own the driver for Vision 2050. Therefore, we, the opposing team, strongly believe that LNG project is not the driver for Vision 2050. Thank you.
Thank you. First speaker of the opposition side. Now I'd like to call upon the second speaker of the government side.
Thank you, Chairperson and members of the opposing team. Before I go on to my points, I would like to rebut on what the first speaker of the opposing team has said. She has stated something about the project, the LNG project, causing too much destruction to the environment. However, let me tell you that the project is not an open cast. It is not a mining project where there has to be open cast where we do much destruction to the environment. It is just the drilling of gas from the earth and then you export it overseas. Now that brings me to my points. The PNG liquefied natural gas is very much committed to operating in an environmentally friendly and responsible way. Our government, through the Environment and Conservation Department, has approved this document, and this document has also been reviewed and approved by the project lenders, which have an expert monitoring team that will regularly monitor the implementation performances of the project to make sure that they keep up to what they said of being environmentally friendly. The social, economical, and environmental objectives of the project is to deliver a project that will greatly benefit the local communities with a minimal impact on the environment by one, recognizing local values and cultures of those people that are directly affected by the project, like, for example, those from the Kairi area where the campsite is located, and those from the Guaribari area where the Kumul terminal is located, both areas situated in Kikori District, Gulf Province. And the second one is that manage environmental impact and social impacts. And the third one is that contribute to the state's economy at the same time the well-being of people. As stated in the PNG LNG project Environmental Impact Statement, Volume 1, Executive Summary. Therefore, since the project's top priority is safety, it does not interfere with PNG Vision 2050. PNG Vision 2050 is that by the year 2050, Papua New Guinea will be a smart, wise, fair, healthy and happy society. And in order to achieve that, there are 7 pillars that are like guidelines to guide us along to achieve that Vision 2050. The 5th pillar out of the 7 pillars states environmental sustainability and climate change. So when you look at it closely, this LNG project does not interfere. It is in one way or another helping us to achieve that Vision 2050. You might be thinking, why not we go back to mining, agriculture, and fishing? Well, to tell you the truth, mining, most mines that we had in Papua New Guinea were open cast and therefore led to much destruction in the country compared to the LNG project. Classic example, Oktedi mine. Tailorings from the mine have been dumped into the Fly River, which is now polluted. And you talk about agriculture. Most young Papua New Guineans now wouldn't want to go back to the villages and cultivate the land. They want to have white-collar jobs like lawyers, engineers, doctors, and the list goes on. So what's the use of telling them, forcing them to do something when they don't even want to do it? And you talk about fishing. I wouldn't want to give my fish away when I myself want to consume it. I would rather be eating fresh fish instead of tinned fish. That brings me to my next point, safety features of the project. The project facilities are designed to international safety standards, and the pipelines are laid underground. So, and the projects that come under that should be achieved under the Vision 2050 is that we should be able to reduce greenhouse emissions by 90%, assist majority of Papua New Guineans to be tough when faced with natural and human disasters, and at least establish 20 reserves, wilderness areas, and parks in our provinces. So, however, all these changes will not become a reality if we don't change our negative attitudes and mindset. We are not developing and progressing because of our ill attitude and negative mindset. Therefore, to conclude, there has to be a change in our negative attitude and mindset if we want to achieve the fifth pillar of the Vision 2050. Thank you.
Thank you, second speaker of the government side. I'd like to call upon now the second speaker of the POMIS team.
Good afternoon, adjudicators, audience, and fellow debaters. My name is Angela Liu, and I am the second speaker of the opposing team. I will be speaking about the negative social impacts that may arise due to the LNG project and why it is not the driver for PNG Vision 2050. But before I present my argument, I would like to rebut some of the arguments and statements put forward by the second speaker of the affirmative team. The second speaker of the government team has said, you said that LNG project is not an open cut mine, but this does not mean it will not affect the forest of PNG. The LNG project will obviously require a plant which the pipelines will start from. Therefore, of course, there will be deforestation required for this, thus causing harm to the environment. Other mines such as Pogera or Oktedi also said there will be a little environmental impact, but this is obviously not the case. Just because it's written on paper doesn't mean it will happen. I will now proceed with my argument. How can LNG be the driver leading PNG towards a smart, wise, fair, and happy and healthy society by 2050 when it is at present creating divisions between families, tribes, and clans, inequality between landowners, polarization between the literate and the illiterate, the rich and the poor, and health problems? My first point is that the LNG project has caused polarization between the literate and the illiterate, and polarization between the rich and the poor. Polarization, as defined in the Australian Oxford Dictionary, states that it is the action of dividing into two opposing groups. An example of polarization is the high illiteracy rates of the landowners as opposed to the high literacy rates in urban areas and those in charge of LNG projects. 80% of locals and landowners of the LNG project are illiterate. To realize the importance of being illiterate, one must understand the definition of the word literacy. This is taken from the Australian Oxford Dictionary. It reads, literacy is the ability to read and write. Reading and writing means to be able to think and assess situations logically and have an extensive ability in numeric skills. Due to illiteracy, landowners do not know how to manage their royalties and therefore misuse it on alcohol, pokies, and short-term enjoyment such as clubbing and prostitution. My second point is that the LNG project has caused social unrest. For example, the dispute between the people of Porebara and the Boera villages over the LNG pipeline. These two villages are into dispute due to the cash benefits promised by the LNG project. Once people in Papua New Guinea see that their assets have the potential of generating large amounts of money, they demand for more. But when the demands are not met, they resort to violence, causing roadblocks, destruction to properties, land disputes, tribal fights, and family problems. These examples of civil and social unrest in the community are due to expectations not met by the LNG project developers. This leads me to this question. How will the LNG project ensure a smart, wise, fair, healthy, and happy society if these are the results so far? And if the LNG project were to be the driver of Vision 2050, why aren't we seeing any changes? My third point is health problems. The LNG project has caused division of family units due to the unwise spending of landowners' royalty on alcohol and prostitution. It has caused family problems resulting in divorce and domestic violence, thus creating issues such as HIV and AIDS and sexually transmitted infections. For example, most landowners are spending their money in nightclubs, drinking and prostituting, while their wives and family are back at home waiting. Because of such behaviors, health problems are increasing at an alarming rate. Therefore, how can LNG project create a wise, smart, and healthy society by 2050 when presently there is a stagnant process to suppress such major health issues? In conclusion, because the LNG project greatly contributes to polarization, social unrest, and health problems, we, the opposing team, strongly and most firmly believe that LNG is not, and I stress, is not the driver for PNG Vision 2050.
Thank you, second speaker of the opposition team. Now we'll have the third speaker of the affirmative side to take the stage.
Thank you, Mistress of Ceremony and the opposing team. As the third speaker of the affirmative team, I would like to enlighten you on how economically the LNG project will be the driver of PNG Vision 2050. But before I go on with my points, I would like to rebut what the opposing team has stated. Now, they've mentioned something about problems arising. Well, I have only 4 words for you. That is the mindsets, the negative mindsets and attitudes of people that is causing this. LNG is not causing these problems. You're talking about family breakups and fights. Is LNG coming directly and doing all these things? No, it's the people. People who are doing this with a negative mindset and attitude. They cannot peacefully resolve matters. You cannot blame something, a project that will bring so much benefit into this country, that will benefit the majority of the people with positive mindsets. You cannot. And you're talking about the government, the LNG not benefiting people. The government has gone to 89 districts in our country, and through the government rollout program, when the money that comes from the LNG, it will roll out through this program and benefit everyone in this country. So don't talk about government not benefiting, not coming up with plans. That's why everything is stated in the Vision 2050. If you have read it, then you would have known. And now to my point. Please absorb this fact. The LNG will bring huge benefits to us and has great potential to transform our economy. Now, let us bring your minds back to the Vision 2050. It stated a critical enabler in the Vision 2050 is financial capacity. As I'll be talking about the economic aspect, you have to base your mind around that. The financial capacity, now that links the Vision 2050 to the LNG project. Now you might be wondering, what about the other projects? What about agriculture and the other mining? Well, they do not, all of them put together, according to Focus Economy, all of them put together, they do not have the financial capacity to finance and enable us to achieve Vision 2050. So this is where LNG comes in, because LNG is a multi-billion-dollar project. It will bring so much benefit in terms of capital that will help us achieve this Vision 2050. So in terms of financial capacity, we are talking about money. You see, we need money to survive in this world. If you're saying you don't need money, then you must be living way back in the Stone Ages where you barter for something. So you see, most people, we misunderstand this project. This project is to help us. It will bring so much benefit in terms of revenue. This 40 billion kina people are talking about in the newspapers, they misunderstand. That is the loan given by ExxonMobil to the government to construct the LNG project. And yet we are saying, why are we employing experts from overseas? Why are we employing skilled workers from overseas? Why are we bringing in all these companies in? That is because we have to accept the fact that we are a developing nation. And we do not have experts, skilled people, and firms and companies that will help us construct this project. So you see, it comes back to our mindset. We have to look at this project with a positive mindset. Only then will it benefit us. So you see, from this project, as in Times, in the newspaper, Business Times, in April issue, the export earnings from this project will be $3 billion, export earnings alone. And you multiply that to the 30-year project, the 30-year lifespan of the project, and you will end up with 90 billion. And that's from export earnings alone. You convert that to PNG kina, and you have 270 billion kina. With all this money, we can offset all our debts, even pay royalties to landowners, settle all problems. But through our mindsets and attitude, will enable us to achieve Vision 2050. The project is a good thing. It will bring so much benefits. But if we do not have the positive mindset in order to carry this project out, then we will not develop further. That is why my team and I strongly believe that through the LNG project, it is the driver to Vision 2050. Thank you.
Thank you, third speaker of the affirmative team. Now we'll have the third speaker of the opposing team.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, adjudicators, and fellow debaters. My name is Timothée Schubert, and I am the third speaker of the negative team. Before I begin, I would like to rebut some of the points the third affirmative speaker made. Firstly, you mentioned that the majority of people will benefit from this project, when in fact this is not the case. The majority of people will be only minimally affected by LNG. Only those in direct contact with the pipeline or the area will actually have any great benefit, and only if they know how to use the money wisely. And you're right, I agree. The only way LNG can succeed is if we have a positive mindset. But if we want to continue LNG, we need to have the mindset before we start. We should wait until we have the capacity to run this project ourselves before going ahead and giving our limited resources away to foreigners. You mentioned that agriculture does not have the capability to support this economy, when in fact this is not the case. If we improve our research and development, we could grow products such as pharmaceutical plants, which can provide billions, literally billions, in profits. And you mentioned that the government has to take loans for this, when that is not the case. The government has billions of money in trust accounts and funds from over a decade of surpluses, yet they are just sitting away there, not being used. We should use the money we have before we get loans and increase the strain on our economy. Already, millions of kina have been given for investment in gas and oil projects, but according to Como Margarima, MP Francis Potape, there is literally nothing on the ground to reflect any level of development. Due to misappropriation of project and development funds, there is nothing tangible to benefit those communities. If this is how LNG has started, why would it be different later? Now to the rest of my argument. From an economic standpoint, the LNG projects cannot be the driver for PNG Vision 2050 because the results of LNG go directly against the aspirations therein. Because of the massive injection of foreign currency into the PNG economy, the Kina value will be forced up, according to the National. The ACL Tasman PNG LNG Economic Impact Study estimates this at 11%. This will have drastic negative effects on the PNG's economy. Firstly, over 20% of PNG's current GDP comes from foreign aid. If the Kina appreciates, it would effectively mean an 11% fall in PNG grants. Another side effect is what is known as Dutch disease. This is the theory that revenues from natural resources, in our case gas, will raise the exchange rate, thereby destroying other sectors of the economy. I now quote from Vision 2050. PNG will develop and grow the manufacturing, services, agriculture, forestry, fisheries, and tourism sectors. Yet agriculture is predicted to decrease both in the short term and long term. For example, smallholder palm oil is predicted to decrease by over 94% in the short run and over 60% in the long run. In fact, on average, the ACIL Tasman report, which was prepared for ExxonMobil, estimates over 16% long-term drop in all our major cash crops. Not only agriculture, but fisheries, minerals, and forestry, the pillars of our historical and sustainable economy and employment, are all adversely affected. No matter how much you overestimate, any drop is unacceptable and directly against Vision 2050. Because of the appreciation of the Kina, all PNG exports will go up by 11%. This means that our cash crops will lose competitiveness on the international market and therefore lose money and jobs. What is seen as the main benefit of PNG LNG is the jobs it will create. But in fact, only 800 full-time national workers will be used on the job. This is tiny compared to the massive scale on it. And also, the economy will be drained of its workers who will go to the LNG and not be able to work for the rest of the country. The LNG project will feed on the rest of the economy and our people, destroying them both only to benefit those few people involved. It will leave our country dependent on foreigners and unrenewable resources, altogether making our country vulnerable to outside exploitation and domestic turmoil. These go directly against what the government has called its aims for the future, and even the Constitution, which is why I firmly believe that LNG project cannot be the driver for Vision 2050. Only the people of this great nation, Papua New Guinea, can make the vision a reality.
Thank you, third speaker of the opposition team. This is the NCD school debate. Our third topic, LNG project is the driver for PNG Vision 2050. Our debating schools are Marineville, going for the topic, and Port Moresby International School, going against the topic. Now we'll have the final speaker of Marineville to take the stage.
Thank you, Mistress of Ceremony, members of the opposing team, and everyone seated before me. I, as the final speaker of the affirmative team, will basically be summarizing my team's arguments. But before I do that, I would like to rebut on the opposing team's arguments. Now, the opposing team may say that the LNG project won't deliver Vision 2050 because it will destroy the environment, causing extinction of species, destroying the land, affecting forests. According to Miles J. Shaw, the public and government manager of Esso Highlands Limited, the subsidiary of ExxonMobil Limited, the company that is spearheading our LNG project. According to him, he states that the LNG project is going to be developed in compliance with the highest standard of health, safety, environmental, and social safeguards. You talk about destroying the forest, the LNG pipelines affecting the forest. What forest are you talking about? The LNG pipeline will run from Southern Highlands through the Western Province and down to Gulf. That area that is expected, the area where the LNG pipeline will run is complete flat land, grassland. What forest is there that the LNG project pipelines will destroy? The opposing team also mentioned other mines will cater for Vision 2050. Well, if you didn't know, other mines like Oktedi and Pogera, they're expected to close before 2020. So how else will the government be able to cater for Vision 2050? The opposing team also mentioned that the government, after the Sumara Temu government, may not be able to carry out the policies, all these, the Vision 2050 and all that. Vision 2050 is enshrined in our constitution. It's already there. And isn't it the government's job to uphold our constitution? If they don't do that, they're breaking the mother laws of this country. Since Vision 20 is already enshrined in our constitution, following governments will have no choice but to ensure that these policies are met. You also mentioned something about PNG Vision 2050 not being the people's vision. Well, if you read that PNG Vision 2050 booklet, it states that the people who came up with PNG Vision 2050, they went out to all 89 districts of our country and interviewed these rural people and also urban people and asked them what they would want, how they would want to see our country in 2050. So it is the people's vision, and you can't say otherwise. Most of the social issues brought forward from the opposing team, social issues such as the landowners complaining that their funds have not been met, or killings in the Motu Koitabu area that have been linked by the media to LNG project. All these social issues, you can't blame the LNG project. It comes down to the attitudes and mindsets of people. If they change these negative attitudes and mindsets, then probably we will develop. Also, the opposing team mentioned something like, why aren't we seeing any developments currently right now? The LNG has supposedly already started. Why aren't we seeing any developments taking place? There's nothing on the ground to prove that this LNG project is benefiting the people. Let me ask you, has the LNG project started yet? Has the first shipment of gas been shipped out already? No, the LNG project is expected to start in 2014. You're talking about all these developments that you want to see because of the LNG project. Nothing, no revenue has come into the government yet for it to develop our country. The LNG project has not started yet. The third speaker of the opposing team mentioned something about our kina depreciating and appreciating, all those economic terms. Well, the government has set up a stabilization fund and an infrastructure fund. There is such thing as that in our government. The government has already foreseen the future and has already planned that. They have set up all these funds that will control the price as more money is projected into our economy. This stabilization fund and infrastructure fund will control the price fluctuations so that people will not suffer that much. Okay. So in conclusion, we, the affirmative team, strongly believe that the LNG project is the driver for Vision 2050. Socially, you and I can't deny that we won't benefit from the LNG project. Creation of wealth, health institutions, basic services, health services, education institutions, job creations, employment. And when I talk about employment, I don't mean direct employment where you as a person, you go and you're employed in the construction and operations phase of the LNG project. I don't mean that you go and you're directly employed by the LNG companies. No, you can be indirectly employed by the LNG project. For example, when ExxonMobil comes into our country, it will engage and develop local suppliers to purchase local goods and services. Who says you need direct employment when you can go and be employed in these local suppliers? You can be employed in these local suppliers that will provide local goods and services to ExxonMobil to further develop the LNG project. And I'm sure most of you have read about the 500 Fijians. It's not 5,000 as confirmed by the Sunday Chronicle published yesterday. It's 500 Fijians coming into our country to help to work on the LNG project. And you probably heard about all these expatriates coming in to develop the LNG project. Well, let me ask you, since you people are complaining about not enough job opportunities created for locals, if you're complaining about that, let me ask you, how many LNG projects has PNG seen so far? This would be our first. This means that we do not have skilled people in the area of LNG to develop the LNG project. We have to accept the fact that we are a developing country and we need outsiders' help to develop this project. These 500 supposed Fijians and the expatriates that are coming in from outside, they are just coming in to set the foundation for the LNG project. While they're doing that, they are also training locals and giving them skills that they need to further develop the LNG project after they leave. Economically, there is no question in whether or not we will benefit from the LNG project economically. According to analysts, the economic impacts of the LNG project will be positive. And why shouldn't it? With $9 billion acquired over a 30-year period, that's 9 billion. When you convert it to Kina, it's 270 billion. And that's from export earnings alone. And 170 billion Kina from tax. And I haven't even started mentioning the equity the state is entitled to, or the development levies that we will get, or the spin-off benefits. We will benefit greatly economic-wise. And environmentally, ExxonMobil has had decades on project development expertise and will definitely ensure the most environmentally safe procedure in acquiring and transporting the gas. Okay, I know there's some of you sitting in front of me, you're still thinking that this Vision 2050 is just a dream. It's just a dream and we need to wake up and face reality. And reality is that this Vision 2050 won't be achieved. If you're still thinking along those lines, let me leave you with a quote. And I quote from Martin Luther King Jr. He stated that, and I quote, "I have a dream that one day my 4 little children will live in a society where they are not judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. End of quote. 46 years later, his dream has become a reality. You ask me how his dream has become a reality? What happened 46 years after 1963? What happened in the United States? 46 years after 1963, if you minus the years, that's in 2009. What happened in 2009 in the United States of America? Precisely. The first black president was sworn into office.
Thank you. That was the final speaker of the affirmative team. Now we'll have the final speaker of the opposing team.
Good afternoon, adjudicators, fellow debaters, and fellow intellectuals. My name is Jacob Alava, and I am the fourth speaker of the negative team. Before I provide a culmination of my team's arguments, I would like to rebut the weaknesses my team and I have identified in our opposing team's contentions. Firstly, the first speaker said something about higher taxes. Now, I mean, higher taxes, that sucks, doesn't it? Secondly, also mentioned that more money would be given to the people, but is that necessarily better? One must understand that in getting money, one must know how to use the money. Like we mentioned several times, the abuse of such would cause unhappiness and goes against all we believe in Vision 2050. And the only way to make Vision 2050 a reality is to first change the mindsets of the people so that they will be able to work towards Vision 2050. Education and awareness is needed first before a project as large as LNG is implemented. Now I'd like to rebut the second speaker. They mentioned that it greatly benefits the people, but then again, it relates back to the money issue. They have money, so what? If you have a brand new car, you can relate that to money, all right? It has the potential to be useful, but if you do not know how to drive it, there's no point. That's why people need to be educated on how to use the money before they are given this money. Also, the second speaker mentioned something about white-collar jobs and not wanting to cultivate gardens in the village as part of agriculture. But this is an old-fashioned view. Nowadays, there are modern means of doing this, modern ways in which pay is good. The world has changed nowadays. The third speaker mentioned something about negative attitudes and that LNG would not cause the problems. But what you don't understand is that the negative attitudes coupled with the LNG will cause the problems, not the negative attitudes on themselves. I'd like now to go to the fourth speaker. She said something about the LNG being mostly on grassland. But is not grassland still valuable? The point is not the fact that only trees are getting cut down, but the fact that our land area is being used. And also mentioned, there was a mention about the contradicting one of our rebuts. There was a rebut mentioned about the fact that Vision 2050 is written into the Constitution. But consider the Maladina amendments. Before the amendments were made, wasn't that written into the Constitution before it was made? The Constitution can be changed. Also, they mentioned that rural people were interviewed. But the rural people are mostly uneducated. As long as they hear that they're getting money, they will agree and greatly welcome something like this. It was also said by the fourth speaker that the people will not suffer that much. The point is, the people still suffer. And I'm not sure where some of my oppositions got their information, because there are forests involved and that will be destroyed by this LNG project. And yeah, excuse me. I will now move on to my argument. Papua New Guinea has a Human Development Index of 0.541 in the 2009 Human Development Report. This, ladies and gentlemen, ranks our country number 148th out of 182 nations. This puts us in the bottom 20% of all the countries all over the world regarding human development. The strategic vision for 2050 states, we will be a smart, wise, fair, and happy society by 2050. But the LNG project, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the greatest impediments to our nation achieving all we hope to achieve by 2050. How, you may ask? Firstly, consider the environment. Papua New Guinea has one of the largest, richest, most exotic environments around the world. Because of the LNG projects, 2,811 hectares of habitat will be destroyed. 2,811 hectares, ladies and gentlemen. One of the key 7 pillars, as mentioned by another of the opponent speakers, is environmental sustainability, and destroying 2,811 hectares of natural habitat is quite contrary to this objective. Many animal species, such as the tube-nosed bats or the tropical rock lobster, will be affected and potentially become endangered, with of course, 0.1241% of our nation's vegetation being lost. Although the various oil and gas companies assure us of the project being fairly environmentally safe, it is impossible to keep a project like that. It's unrealistic and just doesn't make sense. Ecotourism also has potential to generate large sustainable income, and if we let our environment get spoiled by industry, we will lose this valuable resource. Environmental preservation with the LNG? I don't think so. The negative environmental effects of the LNG has on our country defies one of the key pillars of Vision 2050 regarding environmental sustainability and climate change. An important aspect of the PNG Vision 2050 is the improvements of our country socially. Due to the money distribution from the royalties received by LNG, polarization of the rich and poor will occur. This is no doubt unfair, which counters one of the main words in the key vision statement of Vision 2050. Because the LNG benefits only those within the geographical vicinity where it occurs, monetarily and development-wise, negligence of the rest of the country not in contact with the project arises. This negligence results in divergence regarding development in different parts of the country. Not only does it cause this separation, but possible conflict. Many people who will receive more money are uneducated in how best to use this, and therefore results in abuse. This further leads to civil unrest, domestic problems, and lawlessness. And because of the togetherness and close family bonds we as a people have infused into our lifestyles, small events from civil unrest incidents can result in large disputes between social and cultural groups. This further leads to civil unrest. Excuse me. All this lack of education brings about further health problems. HIV, other STIs, alcoholism, and other issues are just some of the products this abuse of royalties received from LNG may cause. There are also many social implications with the LNG project, almost all of which contradict the very beliefs and dreams of Vision 2050. Next, consider the economical implications of the LNG project. The occurrence of the project will result in an increase of the exchange rate, and this in turn decreases the monetary grants we receive as foreign aid due to cash conversion. Another product is that the price of cash crops will increase. Because it is more costly, there will not be as many buyers, and this would result in a decrease in agriculture. This will decrease rural employment accordingly, and people living in rural areas constitute the majority of PNG's population, approximately 75%. The LNG project is only employing less than 850 nationals. And for a project of this magnitude, 800 plus nationals is dismal and pathetic. Also, because of limited numbers of Papua New Guinea's specialized profession workers, there will be a shortage in these workers for other local businesses and organizations. Surely one of the main goals for the Vision 2050 is to develop our country's economy and also for us to be a happy society. All these unseen consequences of the LNG project will counter, not create, these aspirations. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, the LNG projects will greatly contradict all aspirations and goals we have set for Vision 2050. We will be unintelligent, unwise, unfair, unhealthy, and an unhappy society by 2050 if this continues. On the first page of the PNG Vision 2050 booklet, it states that from the Constitutional Planning Committee report that we Papua New Guineans are now in the driving seat. Ladies and gentlemen, we, the people, are the drivers to achieving PNG Vision 2050, not the LNG project. It is for all these reasons, ladies and gentlemen, that we, the negative team, adamantly and firmly believe that the LNG project is not the driver for PNG Vision 2050.
Thank you. That was the final speaker of the opposing team. Now we'll have 5 minutes again for question time. Any questions from the audience? Yes, young man. Seems like only him has the question now. Some of us don't.
This is to the government. Before I ask the question to the government, I will say something first. If the government say it is first of its kind, what about the previous first of its kinds? Okteri mine and Pogera mine and other minings in PNG. Other large mining like Pogera, similar as LNG, did not benefit all Papua New Guineans, and the landowners are suffering nowadays. Papua New Guineans, all Papua New Guineans are suffering out there in the streets of PNG. During 35 years, government, where are all our previous incomes from our minings go? Thank you. Thank you. That's the question to the government. Or I'll ask the question again. During 35 years, government, where are all our previous incomes from our minings go?
I'm not the real government, so I wouldn't really know. But if you look around you, are we still living in caves? Are we still living in caves? Are we still wearing bush material clothes? Well, you see, the money that is taken from, you have to know, if you study our history, the government, there's been instability in the government. This is not, the Samara Temu government, his government was from 2002 till now. The other governments, the previous government, has taken our economy, our GDP, right down to rock bottom. And this government is trying to revive it. This government is trying to revive it. If in the Sunday Chronicles, a statement by the Prime Minister, he stated that the previous government has, from their poor governance, they have taken our country. The employment rate went down, and investors, they were packing up and leaving our country. And this government has brought it, and now we have seen so many countries are invested, so many companies, they are interested in our country. What does that tell you about us, our government? Employment has increased by 48%, that's in the Sunday Chronicles. And all our GDP, here, it was at 2.2 in 2002, when the previous government left it at 2.2. And now it's at 8.5%, the GDP, and that is close to a developed country. So you cannot say, where has all the money gone? You look around you and you will see infrastructure, schools. We are not taking billions and billions from all these mining things you're talking about. LNG is the first of its kind because it's a multi-billion gas project. All the other ones are mining from gold, copper, and all the other mineral resources. So you see, from the positive mindsets and our own, if we use our initiative, you see the money taken, the government has given royalties to landowners, and see if they had all those millions that went to those landowners, they could have developed their communities. And if they had developed their communities, we wouldn't be way back as now we are. So you see, it comes back to us. If we fix our mindset and attitude, we will be already a developed country. So you cannot always blame the government, okay? You cannot always blame the government. It is the people. We're a democratic nation. The power is in our hands. If we see something wrong, then we should be the ones going and doing something about it. Thank you. I hope I answered your question.
Thank you. The question I want is not answered yet. Thank you. If all the previous incomes go into the drain, then it will be the same to LNG. So stop fooling Papua New Guineans.
Oh, sorry, was that a question? If I didn't answer your question, can you come back and state how your question is, what your question is, please?
Thank you. We'll get another question. One of the young ladies from Kopkop College, please.
My question goes to the government team. If you're saying that the pipeline will run underground and just under grassland, and it won't affect the forest, then I disagree with you. Well, if you know your geography skills, Southern Highlands Province and Gulf Province have dense forests with rich wildlife of flora and fauna, which attracts tourists to come and do documents in our land and bring money. And let me ask you one question. Is any of you guys from Southern Highlands Province? Okay, you. From which part of Southern Highlands? Which part? Huh? Tari. Okay, in which province? I mean, Tari province, but which district? What district? And there are villages, so which one? Because if you guys don't know, my grandfather's graveyard is where the LNG project, where the airstrip is going to be. And there are forests there. So if you're trying to remove the forest, then it will bring population, it will pollute the land. And hello, can you think of something? Yeah, my question is whatever. My question is, why are you saying that the LNG pipeline won't destroy any forest? Why are you saying that the LNG pipeline won't destroy any forest in Southern Highlands Province or in Gulf Province? I'm sorry, but if you guys don't want to answer my question, then you better go back and see your map.
Please, no personal attacks. Will someone from the Marineville team answer, or we would just do away with it? Do you want to answer the question? It's okay, we'll forfeit the question. Up to you. If you want to answer, come please.
Okay, you said that the forest is being destroyed where your grandfather's graveyard is. Didn't your people already clear the land to dig the graveyard for your grandfather? And you're talking about Gulf Province. Well, to tell you, Gulf Province is full of mangroves and swamp. So what's the forest? Which forest are you talking about? And the pipelines, they are going underground. And we're not doing much destruction to the environment. Thank you.
Thank you. That will be all. Time has caught up with us. We're going to ask for the judges' comments now. Be mindful when you're asking questions. Please ask reasonable questions. No personal attacks. Ms. Ashwin is going to give the judges' comments.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So far, so good. And I think there's lots of improvements as well from this morning. And I think what the Master of Ceremony is saying is shouldn't be any personal attacks. When you're addressing the questions, address it to the team and not to an individual. Okay? So that should be clear. And also, it's more of an information sharing as well. So there's some things that you might know. There might be some things that you don't, you would know. And when you start sharing that information, and it would enlighten the knowledge that we would have about the topic that is being debated. I also learned so much since this morning, and I'm sure you all have learned so much as well. Is that correct? Yes. That's good. So I should say that there's a lot of improvements. And again, with the introduction, when you're introducing what you're going to talk about, you also have to introduce your team members, especially for the person who is actually the first speaker of both sides. I think sometimes you become nervous and you forget to introduce, and I think that's what we had for these current two teams. So when you are going onto stage, don't forget to introduce your three speakers plus yourself as the fourth speaker. So don't be nervous. I'm sure you've properly had some training to come. So when you come on stage, imagine that you are talking to people that you know. Because when you start thinking, oh, these are big people, these are people I don't know, then the nervousness starts. So if you properly prepare, I'm sure you'll be on track. And the other one, recommendations, you get 5 points from that. And I've observed not much of recommendations are given, whereas there is good summary, but recommendations also gives you 5 points. So recommendations are basically what you think should be done to improve on what you are talking about. So 1 or 2 points can still make a lot of difference, okay? Otherwise, for the manner presentation, it's been excellent so far. Just have to work on the method of presentation plus the method of presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our final round of applause for our two teams. They debated on the topic PNG LNG is the driver for PNG Vision 2050. The affirmative team was Marineville, and the opposing team was Port Moresby International School. As they leave the stage, the Marineville participants were Imelda Arabagali, Imelda Kachau, Marai, and Trisa. Thank you. Sorry, Maria and Trisa. Thank you, Marineville team. And the Pomis team was Angela, Janelle, Jacob, and Timothy. Thank you, the Pomis team.